Okay, today we'll be looking at the Great Wall of Base 10 and just discussing it briefly. So I want you to take a moment right now and look at this Great Wall of Base 10 and just examine it. What do you notice about it? What do you observe? If you want to pause the video at this time, you may do so. So if you're looking at this, my question to you is, how could you use multiplication or division to get from one piece to the next on this Great Wall of Base 10? Some of you are noticing or might have said that if you have 1 here, 1 times 10 would give you this 10 here. Then if you obviously continue to notice that this 10 times 10 is going to give you this one. If you take this one and you times it by 10, it gets you to here. And then if you multiply this one by 10, it'll get you to this last one. So I'm going to label these. This is actually going to be labeled a unit or 1. This is going to be labeled, this is a strip that is worth 10. Then we have a mat that is worth 100, and this is a strip mat, which is worth 1,000, and finally this is a mat, which is worth 10,000. Now if I were to continue this Great Wall of Base 10 this way, what would the pattern be? Have you noticed what the pattern is? So if it goes from strip to mat, then strip mat, then mat, then this mat, we would add 10 of them. So it would become a strip mat. And then we put that together, it would be a mat. We could continue to go up until the millions. So one thing I wanted you guys to notice is that when we did this first one here, this was just the 1 unit. To get here, we did 1 times 10. That is also known as 10 to the first power. It is how many times you multiplied by 10. And you only had 1 of them, so it's 10 to the first power, which equals 10. This one was 10 times 10. So 10 times 10 is also 10 to the second power, or 10 squared. And how I know this is the base number, which would be 10, and this is how many times it's multiplied with itself. So 10 2 times is 10 times 10, which is 100. This one is then 10 times 100, or it would be, in this case, 10 to the third power, because I've already done it 2 times, and now it is 10 times 10 times 10 would give me 1,000. Of course, then you can figure out that if I wanted to get to 10,000, it'd be to 10 to the 4th power, and it would be 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. Now, I'm going to show you also how this actually can be in reverse to make a decimal. To help us move to the decimals, we are going to zoom in to this little tiny unit right here. All right, so now that I've blown up that one tiny unit, now we're going to look at the decimal system. So I blew up that little teeny tiny one and made it big here. So I'm going to put that this is 1 unit again. Okay, so here is my 1 unit, and then when I go down or into my fractions, instead of calling it, this was a strip over here, if you remember, this is actually going to be called a striplet. Then this is going to be called a matlet. Then you'll notice that they continue to be broken down by 10. So I did do multiplication of 10, and if you move this way, this is obviously 10 more, 10 more, 10 more. Well, I can also use division, and I can take this one whole unit and I can divide it by 10 to get a striplet, which is the 10th, which we have talked about before. Remember, this is a 10th, 1/10. And then if I actually take that and break that or divide it by 10, this is actually 1 out of the 100. This is a 100th. And then I can keep going and dividing it by 10, and that would be 1,000th. This little one right here would be 1/10,000th. And I could keep going, make even smaller ones to go 100,000 or 100,000th or 1,000,000th. So the reason why we have a base 10 system, it means that every place value is either 10 times the amount in the place before, or if you're going to, and then to break it down by 10, divided by 10, divided by 10, you can do the same thing. And that is why our number system is called base 10.